anything.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. We're gonna do that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We get a roll call, please.
Brian,
Here.
Russ,
Here.
Justin,
Here.
John, Jeff.
Here. Great, thank you. Then first up, we have employee insurance benefit renewal. Adam, is Adam on?
Adam is on. He just needs to unmute himself. There he is.
Hi. I am here. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can, Adam, go ahead.
Perfect. So thanks everyone for your time. Things looked really good this year. Very, very pleased with how things turned out in regards to the health, the dental, and then the other, what we call ancillary lines, which would be liability. So the first is the health. You can see it went down 13.43%, which is fantastic. I did, just so you guys are aware, I did look at, hey, if we were to move to the affordable compliant plans within, medical associates, what that would be, and that would be $26,000 a month. So quite a bit more, roughly, over $4,000 more a month for a very similar plan. And then for those that were on the council a couple of years ago, we did look at options, what are called like partial self-funding, where we buy a higher deductible, fund that down. Just so you are aware, I kind of reran those numbers for this year, and they are $25,600 is what we estimate. And that's where, again, we would buy a higher deductible, fund that down for the employees. And there would be a couple layers. And again, that didn't make sense. So truly, with how things turned out, my recommendation on the health insurance is really to stay current with where we're at. Even with that decrease, it was really good. We're not seeing that in the market space right now. We're truly seeing probably, 4 to 8% increases, and then obviously could be higher depending on how things trend. So questions at all on the health side?
Adam, this is Brian. Did the health plan folks tell you what caused the decrease? Was there just a lot less utilization during the COVID years, or I'm just surprised?
Yeah, great question. So we're still on what's called a grandmothered plan, and that's based off of our specific health conditions with our group. Obviously, we are pooled together with a larger group with medical associates, for that space. So it factors in two different things. Number one, the group as a whole, meaning like all the people in the 2 to 50 market, and then our specific group. Our specific group had lower claims, less utilization, which then that's what caused that decrease. Really, the biggest factor was our group didn't have the utilization that they've had in the past.
Great. Okay. Thanks.
Any questions on the health at all? Otherwise, I'll transition over to the dental.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, dental, fantastic renewal. Everything stayed the same. Plan didn't change. The rates didn't change. Overall, great renewal. And again, I haven't heard anything in regards to Delta Dental, any concerns on the employee side. One of the best partners in the state. Again, fantastic renewal, great plan design. I think if it were me, I wouldn't make any changes unless you guys are hearing differently on your side. So questions on the dental at all?
Nope. Think we're good there.
Okay. And then lastly, with Sun Life, this is our life, our short-term and long-term disability, just a very small increase, $2 a month. And that's strictly just because the employee assistance program, which is that EAP. So if an employee has, some mental health issues that you need to work through, they want some financial assistance, just anything where they can reach out to maybe help them get through a specific situation. That's what that employee assistance program's for. That went up $2 a month. And we're kind of seeing that trend a little bit over the last couple of years where it did go up $2. But overall, again, another fantastic renewal, $2 a month increase just strictly because of that. So questions at all?
So, and the life insurance and the long-term disability, those are rate guarantees for the next 24 months.
Yeah,
it's
so the
2 years, we have a 2-year rate.
Yep. So everything but the short term is only going to be a 1-year rate guarantee, but the life and the long term, they're guaranteed those for 2 years.
Wow.
We haven't seen increases on the short term over the last couple of years. So I project that that would probably stay consistent next year as well.
Is that typical, John?
I don't do much in life.
Okay. It's good.
That's a really bad statement.
I don't do much with life. yeah.
In life.
No.
We hope you never have to utilize the life insurance either.
The estate of John Kraft.
I'd be lost. I don't think it looks like there's any questions here, Adam, so I think we come in with decreases, everybody just says,
Says,
great,
okay.
we'll take it. So keep that up.
That's my goal every year. That's the whole hope.
All right, I think we're good on our end, so thanks for joining us tonight.
Appreciate
no
everything you're doing.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Never had.
No,
13%
that was
decrease.
shocking.
I know that nationwide, a lot of health plans had less utilization through COVID coming out of it. And it's rebounding, like elective things were put off and now people are starting. So be interesting to see what we see in FY 26.
We budgeted for a 15% increase.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a normal trend line, 12 to 15 kind of thing, so.
So that 30% can go to the police department.
No.
He just bought another car, evidently.
I'll share. We'll share. We'll
30%.
share.
No.
I
I
think
say.
Dean should get a street sweeper, that's.
Or
Well,
Yeah, street back. He's asked multiple
That's what I said,
times.
like we all get.
That's right.
You
We'll share.
look at the time.
I think they all missed the next thing on the agenda, raising council and mayor. All right,
Well, unfortunately, that
Too
didn't
much
make
fun.
it.
that is not.
I didn't make the
That's
cut.
not happening, so. So next up, we've got agendas for the upcoming council meetings. So we'll start with the May 14th, next Tuesday. I didn't see anything
Setting wages.
on there.
The amendment, like next week's meeting, the amendment on the budget is the one we're gonna talk about tonight. Yeah. Gotcha.
Questions on the agenda then outside of? that
Any
one?
questions on the ordinances that I put out there? One of them is just because we need to do an ordinance to update the garbage rate. And then also there was verbiage from, 33 gallon and now we've moved up to the 64 gallon. So I just kind of went and updated any pieces of the ordinance that needed to be updated. One is for a residential second meter. So we have folks that have a second meter and they use it just for watering their grass. So they don't have to pay the sewer on it, but they only pay just the water consumption. So this is proposing that they should also be paying a flat rate for water. Everybody that has a meter pays a flat rate for sewer, a flat rate for water, plus the consumption. So this is just adding that flat rate along with consumption every month. And this is something we talked about before.
There are a lot of
They-
people that use that have a second.
Should have not a ton, and we would,
Probably 10.
but we have some residents who are constantly calling us asking for, I want another meter, I want another meter. We don't have the ability to give them another meter right now because
We do actually now, the supply has picked up, so we
Okay.
just got notice on that, so.
So, because we've been trying to do all the
Unfortunately.
change outs. So what I would propose though is anybody that has a meter or that has a second meter for watering the lawn, those people would be kind of grandfathered and they wouldn't have to pay that flat rate. But if tenancy or ownership changed, so Joanne sells her house and the next person, then they would start paying that flat.
So is it a flat rate on, we're proposing a flat rate on both meters? They pay a flat rate on the first one already.
Correct.
So what's the logic on the flat rate for the second one? Because it's meter maintenance or
I mean, if we ever had to replace the meter,
that's what it's supposed to cover in theory? The flat rate covers the purchase of the meter?
I would say so, yes.
trying to get educated.
Is the use of the second meter not, obviously it's not as much because they're just using it to water,
Correct.
so it's just not.
How often do meters
It's just the
get
output of the
replaced?
water, where it doesn't have the combination of the sewer involved.
What do we pay for the water meter?
Yeah, what is the flat rate?
About 400 for the, between the water meter and, transmitter.
What's the flat rate?
440.
It's 20, and it's look up on the website. It's like $22 or something roughly for the water.
What's the shelf life, what's the shelf life of a meter?
It's supposed to be 10 to 15 years.
It's just something that we had talked about before when Chris even started, and everybody in Asbury gets, you get charged the flat fee for every single meter that you have. So,
Not that we're trying to emulate what Asbury does, however.
right, but like, you know, if you have the meter in there,
Again, it's just covering cost.
If you
More than
have,
covering costs.
you have, but you, I mean, you have an
Actually,
added service that not everyone is utilizing, so it's a greater demand, even though for a small time.
and they're saving then on the sewer consumption portion of it when they're using that meter, you know, when they're using that, because you're not having to, I mean, the water's not going through the sewer, so they don't want to pay the sewer, which is why they want a second meter for their sprinkler system.
We'd be collecting 220,
But you're,
$30 a year on a meter, you know, forever. And they last a decade. They've already paid for one. I'm thinking out loud. What's the flat rate for? I'm kind of against feeing people to death. I want to make sure it makes sense.
I'm in your ballpark, I think.
That we need the money to do something constructive with it related to that service. And I agree they shouldn't have to pay for the sewer. They've already paid for that on the other.
What you're saying is you just have them pay for the meter itself? Or,
Yeah,
The meter, the upfront
It'd be
cost.
an option.
They definitely have to pay for the meter.
right.
What is it right
And that's what
now?
I'm just saying, just pay for the meter and
It's
just
not a free of
call it
charge.
good.
They definitely have to pay for the meter.
So they pay for the meter. and then-
Yeah, absolutely. It's not free of charge. Okay, they want the second meter, they have to pay for it.
What's the charge for a second meter?
$400.
It's the same as it's the same as a.
I'd rather have them buy it outright and then,
They are anyway.
Yeah.
do we buy our first
Requested.
meters? Well, we don't. Like if you buy a house.
We don't buy the first
And it already has
meter,
it, you're
we
paying
buy
a
the-
flat rate, right?
No, because doesn't the developer buy the first meter?
If you purchase a house that has an existing meter, you don't purchase. a
You get it with the house.
Builder.
We're paying a flat rate forever.
Purchases it.
So it's just-
Correct.
Absolutely, the new house is going, the builder's buying it, but you're paying for it.
Yes.
Right.
By the house.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know for the sake of like, just for the sake of argument, you know, when we the flat rate goes not only just to replace the meters and do the other services, but also every month we have to bill them, or every month they're getting
Sure.
read. It's, you know what I mean? It's just it's everything. So, but we certainly don't
We
have to,
read
just
the
something,
meters
it's
all
just something
manually
that,
still.
No.
it's just something that had come up and that we
Probably.
wanted to.
Some of the
look at.
meters are manual, but a lot
2/3?
of them are not, yeah.
For 2/3 of the way for the conversion.
And if you're at a house with a manual meter read, you're there to read it anyway.
Correct.
I mean,
Both butts
you're-
are in the same location.
Just thinking out loud.
Well, now's the time to do it.
Not sure.
before we-
I guess what would
I
the
need to-
sewer rates be for the consumption on those second meters? Would it be cheaper for them to?
There is no
There
sewer
would not
on
be
the second.
sewer.
Well, if they were to pay it,
They did sewer.
if they were to run it off of their normal home, I mean, what's the consumption rate on these second ones?
How many gallons are they using?
Yeah, I'd have to pull a report
I
to
guess that
see
would be
how
my
much.
question. Would it be cheaper for them to
Pay the
just
sewer
run it
rate
off
here,
of,
but now
pay the
it's-
sewer rate and not pay the $20 flat fee that they're
Then
already
it wouldn't be
paying?
beneficial to have the second meter.
Yeah, well, that's
Because
fine.
you'd be paying the sewer rate regardless.
That's why I'm
I guess
asking.
unless I'm not following you.
Well, the $20
No, what's the
flat rate
difference?
charge, what's the?
Yeah, what he wants to know is what are they
Sewer
saying,
rate's
what are they
less than
saving?
the flat rate charge or something
Yeah.
different.
So would it make more sense for them to not even get the second one at that?
That would all depend on.
Yeah, I'd
consumption.
have to look at the.
Like in the winter months, their consumption would be nothing. basically.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
We could definitely take a look
And
and
they
see how
still get
many
a flat rate
gallons
in those
are
meters.
pumped a year for the sprinklers.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
then
would-
say, here's how much that would cost if they ran it through sewer. But then I guess the other question is, do we want to include some kind of a fee for that meter? Because right now, I mean, Dean's taking his time to
Probably.
go over and put a second meter in,
charging for that.
Yeah.
you know, hooking it up.
Yeah.
We
That-
don't
that
charge
takes
anything for that
real
right
time for
now.
us, Yeah.
Right.
It's a cost.
And there is a cost to bill. but
So
we're
it's only
already
$400
sending
to
every
buy the
address
meter,
a
but
bill,
Dean
so-
still has work to do on every.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
we
you
could,
charge them $800 for the meter and charges. pretty
Well,
much
even
all.
on a new construction, we don't charge anything. All the ones that he's had to go over and do, or Brennan has had to do it, and everywhere, we put
A
in,
lot of meters over there.
there's a lot of meters, they have to go in and hook them all up, smart
And a
points,
lot
and
more
do
to
all
go.
of that.
For sure.
And we don't charge anything for anyone on the installation of a meter or smart point.
I think this is a small question, small part of the bigger question.
Yeah,
Do we
we
start
should
doing
look at
that?
a bigger
Right.
picture.
I mean, obviously it looks like pull this from the agenda for tomorrow.
Well, that being said, maybe
Yeah.
Tuesday, increase the fees of the meter,
What do we
That's
charge
right.
And
now?
that's what I'm saying, I think
That's what we're saying.
this is a bigger question.
rather than throwing an initial charge in there, let's just raise the rate of the meter.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're getting the meter,
If we purchase the meter for $400, we charge $450.
Yeah, we get our overhead back in that for cover your labor, cover our buildings.
But I think there's also a question is, do we start charging for installation on new builds?
Yeah.
Well, we were
Legit
just talking
question.
about the labor and it's 50 is what we think.
That would be all of
To cover it.
Right, but should we be charging that on every single meter that they have to go hook up?
Probably.
$50 fee, or just charging
Was
$450?
that kind of in our,
Is that assumed in the water rate?
50 on, or 400, 450 or $500 on the meter. It washes it all, yeah.
Clean it up.
Yeah, everything's.
Makes
It's-
them work.
It's your time, you have to order them, you receive them, you stock them, you
But, yeah,
deliver them,
that's why-
sometimes you deliver them, you know?
So
Right.
what Justin's saying is just increase the charge of the meter.
When you install the meter, instead of $400, it's $450.
We cover our overhead.
Every meter.
Whatever number we come up with.
whatever makes sense.
It's gotta make sense, so we're covering that, we're covering the, if we feel like,
Makes sense.
yeah,
We'll do that.
and I think it's a lot cleaner that way
Okay,
too.
And what amount do you wanna do? Do you wanna do the 450 or
Whatever, I think we
500?
have to
What's the time frame to install a meter?
Per smart point install, usually, might as well figure a half hour by the time you, commute from one
50 it is.
location to another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Might as well just, yeah.
Yeah, cause you also have your time of stocking them, sometimes you deliver them to the site,
Right.
Yep.
like for, when they buy, we say, hey, babe,
Yep.
they paid for their meter, then Dino drop it off
We
for
have
them,
wage
for their
plus
plumber to.
benefit overhead and
So
admin overhead
when
in
we
the
write
city.
that up, it'll be the cost of the meter plus a $50 install fee. So
Sure,
that- Because if meters go up.
That way it covers the cost of the increase
That
in the
way, yeah.
meter.
Yeah.
Then as our wages go up, that can be adjusted.
if you're okay, we'll just, we'll update the fee resolution and put that on there and we can pass it Tuesday. That's okay?
Comfortable with that instruction.
Okay,
Awesome, thank you.
the last ordinance, I don't know that we want to so it kind of came up at a clerk meeting recently where the state of Iowa has changed a lot of things when it comes to liquor licensing. Some of them, they've gotten rid of some of the licenses, there's less classes. Some of them you can do a renewal online and doesn't even have to go to council for approval. And so it got brought up, well, geez, we probably should change the ordinance. So I went out and pulled up the ordinance to kind of make some changes. Then a lot of our ordinance, talks about, refers back to state code. We're gonna enforce this state code, 22. Over to state code in 22.3. Oh, wait, that one doesn't exist anymore. That one is changed, or it's a different number, or it has different verbiage. So I put out there both our current ordinance with some strikeouts, actual state code. So I don't know if we want to have a longer discussion at some point about going through that state code and saying, okay, maybe even with Mike and saying, here's the ones that we want to still have in our ordinance, is we're going to follow state code for 1 through 6, or these 10 or pieces of it, or for now I can just change the wording and omit the ones that are no longer there, or.
And I think that's something that we can do internally and just bring back to you.
So basically that's kind of what that other ordinance is about. We don't necessarily have to vote on it on Tuesday.
I don't see them.
I don't think,
No, these are
the
just
red line
PDFs.
stuff she's.
These are just
referring to.
PDFs that she's got in the agenda for tonight.
Yeah, so you'd have to actually, do you guys have access to go to the draft? For the next meeting?
Word docs?
So go to the next meeting and go to draft. So up at the top up here, you have to click where it says meetings. You have to change it to draft. And then you can go to May 14th and look at everything and all the attachments on that agenda.
Meetings draft.
Yes.
The
Oh,
opportunity to do that.
I can't, I'm not seeing that.
What's it? You like it?
Sorry. I was looking for it attached right here.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about it, but I don't,
And I didn't because it's just stuff for the next meeting. So what I can do is I can email those out to you.
yeah, we should look at them for the next meeting.
And we can chat with Mike. We don't have to even have it on the agenda for Tuesday. I can take it off, but it just kind of like opened up a deeper rabbit hole when let's get this updated and update this ordinance. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh geez, we can meet with Mike and then we can talk about it at the next
We
work
can put it at
session
the end of the month, yeah.
and then decide But I'll send those 2 attachments out to you. I can email them.
Thanks.
That way you have them. But one is the Iowa State Code and then ours, our ordinance. Otherwise, I think everything else on the next meeting, that was really all that we wanted to kind of cover. And then I think, yeah, going forward, when I attach the meeting, you know, I just put the PDF of the meeting agenda. I can, any pertinent other attachments that I always thought you could get into those drafts and look at those other.
Well, let's do some behind the scenes and
And we'll
see if we can
make
get
it-
the permissions to where we
Yeah,
can
it's
pull that out.
probably, yeah, it's just not showing here.
If it's not showing, you're probably not signed in.
Yeah, I had to log.
I-
You have to
I'm
be
signed
logged
in.
in.
I checked.
You can get into the
I'm
drafts.
signed in as myself here.
So who cannot get into the drafts?
I was able to.
Like where I'm at right here.
I am on my iPad.
Does anyone else?
I'm on.
Or you can, I didn't know if it is.
You can?
Yep.
I'll just look at yours afterwards so I can understand one. No, but I'm logged in, so.
Okay, yeah. And you're clicked on meetings where it says
Access to that.
top.
Access denied.
Yeah, there should be like a little triangle and then when you go,
Okay, I
you
see.
hit the down arrow on the triangle, then you have active and draft.
I see it.
You see it?
See, it's user error.
All right.
We also.
So I don't need to.
We've all been there. I meant to say we've all been there.
So then, yeah, so you can go into the actual agenda and that's where we go in and build the agenda. So you can go in and look at any documents or
Nice.
attachments.
Yeah, at any time.
Much good.
Okay. And I don't think there was much on the other meeting.
It's yearly,
Takes a little ways out.
yearly resolutions that we need to do.
Resolution, just amending current budget, nothing. That's on the agenda for the 28th.
No.
No, it's not.
Salaries and wages, it's just, yeah.
There's nothing on there, just salaries and wages, nothing that has to be.
Well, that should be exciting to talk about since we've had that 13% decrease in health insurance.
It's just a resolution for every year for the new wages, July 1.
But,
Which we've already approved in the budget.
yes,
Well, we didn't really technically approve the wages, you just approved the overall budget. So this is approving wages for each individual
Right.
full-time
And
employee.
have the wage assumptions and things in the budget, though. We
Yes.
still have to specifically approve them.
We got $160,000.
No, just that person.
6, so I'd have to pay $6 in the back.
But there's some other stuff that that is addressed with the HR committee, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Definitely sure.
So we shall move on then to the department head discussion.
wow.
So I guess I'll start, I guess. The only thing I got for you guys is I took the Tahoe, or the Tahoe is down at Caltech right now, the new Tahoe. It's getting outfitted right now, so should be back next Wednesday.
And they're picking it up, correct?
They picked it up and they're bringing it back. Yep, that's part of the deal. And it was, the reason I went with Caltech, Caltech's a company that's in Baxter, Iowa. It's between Marshalltown and Des Moines. Same service as what Carl's does, but it was like $6,000 cheaper for the same thing. I did a bid for both of them and that's what came back and I'm like, sold.
Where will you be storing it until July 1st?
What?
Where will you be storing it until July 1st?
Story.
The new vehicle, as it's not,
You don't have it until.
Correct, we don't have it, right. Yeah. So I just wondered where. Don't worry, we have a base spot. Don't worry, we're good.
No opening presents before Christmas morning.
That's right.
I second.
How is the new school ordinance going?
Great. And we, like I said, that we've only had that one complaint. Nobody has yet parked over in those areas. Perfect. There was one today, but it was raining and they just pulled in, picked up the kid and went.
Same car's been doing it almost every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I only saw the one
They,
car
they
today.
pull in real slow and their child walks over.
They run, open the door while it's moving.
Yeah, in the parking lot. So I saw the one doing it today, but it was raining. I can understand that,
You didn't want to get out, did you?
understood that. Put it that way.
When you have the tunnel, they'll be lower to the ground, you can get out.
My
of
main
here.
concern was the main, that street over there, and nobody's done it over there. That's been great.
Good, that's good.
Yeah.
As long as we're keeping an eye on it, because
That's right.
you don't want to turn it into like, well, they're doing it, so all of a sudden you got 2, 5, 18 cars.
Yeah, everybody's doing a roll and go.
I always
Yeah,
wondered
roll.
that if you were
Jump
less
in
likely to
quick.
get pulled over in the rain.
What's that?
So I always wondered that if you're less likely to get pulled over in the rain. Like, when I
The answer is yes.
Put it this way, you're gonna get pulled over, you're probably gonna take it.
You're not getting away with it. That's-
Nobody's.
The damage.
And by the way, your hair looks great today.
Does.
Put rain slickers in the budget for next year,
That's right.
clothing allowance.
I'll pass.
This isn't the way you wanted to go with it, Mike.
That's right. I don't need any more suggestions.
We're full of them.
Take it under advisement.
But that's about all I got for you. So.
All right, thank you, sir. Dean?
Yep, just a couple things. To start off, within the next couple weeks here, we will have well basically reconstructed on the initial well part of it. They'll be replacing the up pipe and stuff like that. Thought it was gonna be next week. They're waiting for delivery on some pipe. They have 250 feet in stock. That's actually what they're figuring they're needing, but they want to be prepared and have a little bit extra just in case. So still waiting for their delivery until we get that word. He's supposed to give me a week's notice until we get that word. I can't really crunch down on the time, but within the next couple of weeks, I would say, we'll be down to one well for probably a week at most. Not something we really need to advertise, kind of just amongst us. But
It's recorded, so.
but I mean, it's not something we have to
Speaking
put
to
out
the camera.
on any websites or anything of the sort, and make it a concern to any people.
Do you use a
It's
contractor
a
on that?
procedure we went through. Northway, going to use Northway on this. We use Peerless on the well 3. Not real happy with the results, but Northway came back with a very similar number and heard a lot of good things about it. So street project down there, obviously slow in progress with the rain. They got the black dirt on. It would have been nice if that had things seeded, kind of touch things up on the main focus of it. But other than that, we're down to the retention pond and the street or the police parking lot. So
Can't wait.
we're getting there, but it's very, very slow progress with the weather. So unfortunately, it's not something they can control, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Looks good. Looks good.
Dean, you want to talk a little bit about the meeting you have with Jake Deaver today regarding
Yep.
Cox Springs and?
Yep, absolutely. Met with Jake and Jake Deaver and Cody Lawler today on the Cox Springs Trail. Just kind of went over things, how things were going to lay out there, the positioning of it and stuff. Looks like everything's going to lay within the right of way. Okay.
Okay.
So
Those trees come into play still?
trees won't be a factor on anything. Maybe trim some limbs on the one. We do have to contact Macocata Valley to position a guy a little bit differently on one of the poles and then possibly relocate one pole that's up near the intersection of Birds and Cox Springs there. So nothing major. Everything looks like it's gonna fit in real nice there.
Nice. Awesome.
Sidewalk kinds.
So,
Man,
yeah. Other than that, the last thing I have had received a call from a resident in Thunder Ridge with concerns on why they cannot use the compost site. Feel that because they're paying the utilities, they should have the privilege of the site. And if not, could it be considered that they pay an additional fee to use the site? So I told them it was something I'd bring to everybody's attention. We could talk about it. Definitely would ignore it, but see what becomes of it. So
Well, we're gonna have a discussion about that in just a few.
has there been any dumping of trees and stuff up there that
is it illegal?
are being abused?
Yeah.
How's it going so far this spring?
I mean, we don't know if it's being abused. We're not monitoring it.
And everything's over at the new spot now.
It hasn't been converted over, but we do want to get it converted.
Okay.
There's really no reason to convert it over there now, other than the fact that it's just a matter of training people to go to that new site. Is the only real
Is that where you want it to go?
to the new site.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing that we do ask the public that please obey the sides that the sticks and the trees are supposed to go on and the sides that the grass is gonna be on and be a big savior to our end of it as far as labor intense. I mean, I have a guy up there, you know, probably 4 hours a week sorting through grass and sticks. You know, somebody might dump off a load of sticks and the next person comes along, and dumps a load of grass right on top of it.
I'm not saying
I
this is
mean-
gonna help with signage.
Is there a sign?
There's signage,
There's always been signage.
there's been signage at the old site and it just doesn't work.
Or creatures
we'll
of
put-
habit. I mean, if they
Yep.
see a lump of sticks there, they're gonna throw theirs.
Yep.
Sign says. so.
Yep,
Are you,
so,
if people call into City Hall, are you wanting us to direct them to the new site?
absolutely, yep.
And do you want us to put something on Facebook that says, hey, here's the new site, here's where it's located, please be sure to, use the sides as,
So
you know,
my
the
concerns,
sign
my
show?
concerns on how we advertise this is the misuse is gonna continue. Maybe we could alleviate. What I wanna do is put a no dumping sign up at the old site and maybe we can get more people to call and then we can ask what their address, their residency, if they're a resident of Piasta or if they're not. So I know it's gonna be a lot of additional calls that we don't really need, but we might be able to monitor it and, kind
that's
of
fine.
determine how much misuse is taking place possibly that way. I mean, we know it's gonna happen, but at this point, we have no way to control it. And if we open it up and advertise it, I feel that it's just gonna be a continuation of what we had.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking that or the newsletter, but the more calls is not a problem. I just want to know what you want us to do.
Yeah, I mean,
So we can start directing
I'm
people.
open
to
for
the-
suggestions. Like I say, I just don't know. I mean,
So I guess we
try to monitor the
Do
misuse.
we wanna jump into that conversation now or we wanna wait?
Well, we wanna let Stacy go.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Can I ask
Just
a
a-
question? I have one. So I'm just bringing this up for a general impression. The Birds Road where we hit Piazza Street, the intersection we just redid, it still feels a little dark to me at night. And I know we put up the existing lighting that we had before, but that intersection seems dark at night. So I don't know if we've had any safety concerns or anything there. It seems like it's a busy corner.
I mean, it's something we can look into. We could,
It's a lot wider than it used to be.
Yep.
And the streetlight's kind of off, to the side a little bit further. And it just, for the type of intersection it is, it just doesn't feel well lit to me, but I don't know.
let me take a look at it.
Okay.
Maybe there's an area where we can position another light.
Potentially drive through,
Um,
or a different kind of light. but-
or a different kind of light.
And if it's not a safety hazard, then I don't care.
We haven't had any safety
It's such
issues
a,
yet.
it's such a big road, like into where the houses are. A lot of people are turning on it. It's just kind of hard to see, so
We do have the lights tipped out as much as they can to try to
get the area.
20 volt.
zoom the area as much as
20 volt.
possible. I could maybe look into
Bigger, brighter light.
possibly a bigger, brighter light. That's what I was thinking. I had.
See what you think. Other people can look and see what they think. If it's not a safety hazard, I'm not as
You
concerned.
put a bigger, brighter light in there, is that going to affect any of the residents right there?
I mean,
It could.
possibly.
Just kind of a balancing act,
Yeah.
just about.
Let me put some thought in it. I'll take a look at it someday, Brian.
Yeah, I didn't think about things. I didn't think about the citizen. That's an important thing. My primary concern was whether or not we can see to drive. Yeah, so.
Yeah. If there's an area within that we could position another light in there.
Turn your headlights on.
They're on. I was just thinking.
User
They are
error.
definitely on. Oh, yeah. Okay. I see this. Let it be noted.
There, I feel better now.
I'll try not to say more, but there is more I will say.
I'll look into it someday, Brian.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Stacy, you ready for Brian?
I was gonna say, I don't have a lot. I mean, we've been super busy with everything outside. A lot of work that still needs to be done down at the ball fields. Weeds growing out of control, grass crazy. Fields, we need to do some TLC, just a lot of wet spots. We've been spending many of hours getting fields ready to play each day. So that's been fun. Batting cages need some TLC, so there's still stuff on the list for down there to do. Up here stays as busy as ever as well, so it's kind of been a shift from past years. We're definitely busier here more consistently throughout the year. It used to kind of slow down a little here to pick up there, and we haven't really got that to be the case this year, which is good. It's a good problem to have. So, so we're working on that. Otherwise, just kind of everyday stuff. I did a tour for UD today. Every year the facilities management class comes and does a tour, and so the teacher has been here the past, I think we've been giving tours for a decade. But it was cool. He loved the updates we did. Like a lot of the stuff was like, you've been talking about this since the first time I came here, you know, whatever. And so it was a fun conversation with them and kind of getting their thoughts and whatever from going to, they tour a ton of facilities, whether it's fitness, whether it's just like fitness classes, whether it's clubs. So yeah, so that was interesting. We do have Piasta Optimists are hosting a T-ball clinic for us coming up here in a couple weekends. Outside, we have a tournament coming up outside next weekend. Weddings are still consistent. Keep on keeping on is what we're doing right now. So
Russ, you ever played T-ball?
They didn't have T-ball when I was growing up.
Oh, okay.
They threw the ball.
You just went to Little League and
Oh, I
start getting thrown
I
at.
was just giving you kind of a primer, so you
They
could.
have stones.
ironically, we do it as Coach Fitch, so it's Coach Fitch first, and then if they can't, it goes to a T. So it's still technically.
pictures.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
My
so-
grandsons are playing.
I know you did so well at the basketball clinic.
Yeah,
I was just
I'm
thinking-
probably not, I don't know if I'm gonna be available for that Optimist, since I was in charge of dribbling and passing.
And then the projects that you guys approved last meeting, the lights, I think are supposed to be in either tomorrow or Monday, so those should be getting here and put up here shortly. The light to the bench switch is done, so that portion's done. And then landscaping, he said he's gonna come tomorrow. I don't know if he's gonna be able to with how wet it is. But he is digging out stuff, so I don't know. He can't make it any worse before he makes it better, so I don't know. They're gonna be starting here within the next, that's true, within the next week. So he said Friday or Monday. My guess is it's gonna be Monday, hopefully, yeah.
It's during Monday too.
Tries, is it?
It's raining all
This
day.
one's looking good.
Well, in time.
When
It's
he-
on the
Weather
list.
permitting,
On
weather
the
permitting.
list.
It will be a Friday or a Monday
Yeah,
sometime soon.
sometime in the future, near future. Which is good because the fields look great. You don't have to run the sprinkler system. It's a win out there. So yeah, so everything's going smoothly and
Open house is in 2 weeks.
23rd, yep.
So how's everything on that front? Everything in good shape?
Yeah. I
We know what we're
believe so.
doing, we know what,
I know, yeah, I know.
nothing you need from us or,
Shondi put out or has I don't know if she put it out, has a newsletter ready, either has or is
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
no.
putting it out, yeah. I think
Facebook.
that we're gonna have Kelly Oaks like booth, I guess, here. And then I'm also gonna have a couple things for the community center as well, that if they wanna go and see the new stuff, they absolutely can, so.
3 to 7,
3 to 6:30.
3 to 6:30.
And then the next parks meeting, gonna bring a bunch of bids for the servicing for the playground, so hopefully we can be moving with that as well. Keep on moving at Kelly Oaks.
I did use the golf simulator this past weekend, so
How'd it go?
went well. I mean, for the simulator.
For the
was
simulator.
Fantastic.
Really well.
I'm told that 10 feet less, your
Yes.
shots are 10 feet less on a
I
simulator,
believe that.
so that's what I hear.
Oh,
Oh, that explains what it was.
well, you were always 3 yards short.
That explains it.
That's it, that's it.
Not on the green, but I don't understand. That's my 15th hit. How am I not on the green?
It stops at, it stops.
Exactly. That's my whole point. It's a par 3.
He was using his driver, so.
Yeah, but it was very, very nice. I'm very impressed.
I do have 2 more things, sorry.
No, you're good, I'm done, unless you guys have any
I
questions.
forgot to tell you, this weekend I'm doing the bike rodeo.
Saw that.
You guys know what the bike rodeo, you want me to explain it to you, or you guys know what it is?
John's working it, I think, Optimist.
I don't no longer remember.
You're no longer a member?
So anyway, yeah, Optimist Club's gonna come help us. We're gonna give away, I got donations from businesses in town. We're gonna give away free helmets to the kids in need. And we have an obstacle course that the kids will be able to ride on. It'll be a good event, fun event.
Where's that done at?
It's gonna be right here, right in front. Yep, somewhere out here.
Parking lot.
Parking lot,
Nice.
right in the parking lot.
It's worth coming to test.
That's what.
That way, yes.
It's worth watching Mike Sullivan order the chief around.
No, we work together fine.
Mike, I want you over here. Mike, I need you over here.
So the next thing we had was the, next week is the outrun for Rays. Just wanted to run that by you guys. I totally forgot about that. We'll be closing streets down. I'm bringing it to the next council meeting. Do you just know that that's coming?
Same route, right?
Same route. I can't change it this year just because Adrena Drive's not open yet. I'd like to take it down that to open up the main arteries as much as possible, but another day, another time.
They probably like that. There's enough of them that are sick of running them hills.
They could just go Adrena. So.
I mean,
This
we
is
don't
not
own the road.
Not the right time
We don't own the
either,
road.
yes, but he does wanna go with the old route. I know with the new ordinance, I don't know what the stats are.
For the parade route, the old one you're talking going to Birds, all the way or past the street to Birds?
Yeah.
Whatever, I mean, it's,
Do they have to do anything? I know we have that
no,
parade ordinance.
it's just, no, we'll just plan it. As long as I'm the first one, so as long as I know which way to go. we're all right. And then I'll get the barricades up where we need to get them, so that's good to know, so. So now you know where the parade route's gonna be. There you
The
go.
only thing I saw on Stacy's, it's actually more for you, Mike, is the Westby baseball. Is practicing down here.
Yeah,
Every year we usually get a complaint or two of the kids
speeding.
flying through there.
So we haven't yet, but we'll monitor the area. Yep.
The new coach is
I've seen
phenomenal
more
too, so
Clark,
we
yeah, than West
really
Dubuque
know.
people.
And like I said, we could put a note out to the coach to have a little ready, you know, before, do a little damage control before it happens.
It's like right under us right now, actually.
Yes.
You can hear us practicing inside, except just talking. Doing over scenarios.
That's all I have for you.
Below us, did I say above us? No, you don't think so.
So I don't think.
I can cover the,
Over here.
I can cover the budget amendment portion really quick. So there isn't a lot to really amend. Most of it is transfers, so it seems like a lot dollar wise, but keeping in mind that have all the funds right now for the turn lane project that is sitting in the fund for the GO bond. That money needs to be transferred over to the turn lane project. So that's like 1.4 million. So just, and then just some of the transfers that we talked about doing to set up some reserve accounts at the end of the year. Those kind of things are just getting added to that. I did catch one other thing today that isn't on there. It was just gonna add another $17,000 from the sewer debt fund to debt service for that new SRF loan that we took out for the wastewater treatment plant. That one didn't, those payments didn't get calculated, and I wanna make sure that we have enough in there. So it's just like 17,000. So that, and then the other items are just I think there was just some miscalculation and it's anticipated with the wages in under the 620 area. I don't think they're necessarily because we're making more money or working a ton of overtime. There's a little overtime, but that's been kind of gotten under control. I think it was just some miscalculations from last year.
620 areas, which one? Remind me.
Admin, clerk and admin. There was some, and we also had changed how we were distributing some of those payrolls last year. Like more of mine and Nats are coming out of back, different places, and we restructured some of it. And then the codification. So essentially there's not a whole lot. But we want to make sure that we don't end up negative anywhere, because that's a ding against us on an audit. We don't want to be negative. So this should clear everything up for the end of the year. And then we just need to set a public hearing, because that amendment has to be approved by the end of May. So I'll set a public hearing at hold the public hearing at the 28th meeting and then approve the amendment so that it's all done by the end of May. So I think, yeah, I have the placeholder on it for the next meeting. To put it in the DOM website so that I can get it published.
Got it, okay.
Yep. Any questions on that? Notice no red. I didn't use red this time, John. Right.
Move on to the utility rates outside of city limits.
Hopefully you got an opportunity to read the notes that I have out there. I kind of did a straw poll on communities of similar size on what they charge for out of corporate boundary rates, and the consensus is 200%. It's not uncommon to have some communities at 300. This is not a push to get them to annex in. simply, the city has invested about $820,000 into Thunder Ridge in the past 10 years. Just improvements, the booster station on Cox Springs Road. There's been some multiple other projects that have been done. This is simply to build up that fund, so in the event that we need to repair, replace, that we have those funds available. Also, it's to support the new well tower and the well as well. That didn't make sense.
Water tower.
Yes, yes.
The water tower, the new one to the
The
side.
new one, right. It would be well 5. So again, this is food for thought. This kind of ties into the conversation. They named it 5,
Oh, really?
yes,
Add 2 and 3 together?
I guess.
That actually makes.
Well, that'll get you there.
I don't know the reasoning behind it. I know you look stunned too.
2, 3, 5.
But this is kind of in conversation, it kind of ties in nicely with what Dean was talking about with compost facility. If we want to increase their garbage rates to include kind of a charge at 150%, it'd be an additional $8 on their garbage.
A month,
Pardon me?
a month.
Yes.
A month, yes, to cover that compost. And if we do this, it would all be implemented July 1st. We would make that increase from 150 to 175%. And then January 1 of 2025, it would be increased to 200%. And I've given you the numbers, what we're bringing in right now and the estimated money that we would be collecting.
So the extra 50% that we're collecting, does that go someplace? Where does that go? Does that sit someplace? What does it do?
Not separately, but we talked about that as
Yeah.
well.
Goes into the water fund and the sewer fund and just.
Correct, so we kind of want to create a new GL account for Thunder Ridge, so that we know that that money that we're collecting from the 147 customers that we have there goes directly to that fund.
So what happens if we do that without raising it?
It takes that amount that I've given you on those reports out of the water fund and the sewer fund. Each month.
So what you're saying is leave it at 150 and just start that separate fund and see how much
I'm
we
just thinking,
collect in there a month?
just a thought. I mean,
And again, this
because technically with that, that's what that extra 50% is for, is to cover that just in case when that we need to replace it, but we haven't been saving it that way.
right.
So I think maybe, in my opinion, maybe we start there, see where that takes us.
And this was just an exercise to see what other communities were doing, and you kind of want to keep up with the Jones, so.
When I almost even could do some looking and trying to do some calculations on saying, okay, rather than necessarily do a separate fund, we could say of that, the extra 50% this year was X amount of money, and we could just set a separate reserve account and do a transfer once a year versus having that money automatically drop in. I don't know, from a GL and accounting perspective in our system, I'll have to find out from G-Works if it's something that can do every single time we get a payment from a Thunder Ridge resident, or if we wait until I guess at the end of the year, calculate how much that revenue that would have been for that, because I'm assuming we just want the 50% extra and say it's this much money, it's $200,000 or whatever, and then put that into a reserve account once a year and do a transfer. We could look at that.
But we also need to have that conversation about the compost facility. Is that something that you would be interested in doing? Is increasing their garbage rates by $8?
Well, their garbage, if I'm reading this right, their garbage rates are $13.38.
Everyone's going to 16, July
Okay.
1.
So they'd be at 16, they'd be at time and a half, they'd be at 24.
Right, right
then
now
we'd add another
they're paying
8.
city rates for
Paying the same
garbage.
as what?
They're paying the same. They're not, I thought they were 150%.
Not for garbage.
Not
Just
for
the water.
garbage, just for water.
Just water. But they're on our sewer, they're paying 150 for sewer? Okay.
On the flat rate and on the consumption.
Just for background, when did that start? When we put in the infrastructure over there, when we bought their water tower, or what?
When infrastructure was installed and it was converted to the city, when the city paid to.
You remember when that was?
I have it in my notes because,
How long?
15 years ago?
was it in
I thought it was
2015?
15,
I thought it was within
15,
like-
10 years?
They were on their own water tower for a while, right? They had their own water, then we bought it, brought it in.
They didn't actually have their own tower, but they had their own well.
They had their own well.
Yeah, an holding tank for a short time, yeah.
So it's probably 9 years,
Until it outgrew.
8 or 9, 10 years.
9, 10, yeah.
And they've been at 150, just to fill in the gap. They've been at 150 the whole time.
I
Have we changed it?
would have to go back and see when that resolution was passed or by ordinance.
I think that sounds about right.
It hasn't been changed.
It hasn't been changed.
So it's
Started it started.
from the.
But keep in mind, during that 8-year span, we put in $820,000 in an investment that we're not getting back because we're not recouping any property taxes from them.
Right.
We're just recouping
Right.
that 50% on sewer and water, and that's it.
So I guess my thing is like, we want to annex them in, yes? I mean, the city's position would be we'd want them.
Eventually.
I mean, the more we drive these things up, the more likely we are to get a homeowner association vote.
And
to
they
come in.
have been discussing it.
What I've heard anecdotally is they're roughly split,
Right.
Half of them kind of want to join the city and half of them kind of don't. So I just, what do we want to do? When we start changing these numbers and things, are we getting the behavior we want?
Well, and
Well,
this
you
is,
need to probably have a lot more money set aside when we do annex them, because the roads are not to stand.
Probably has to get updated and.
Yeah, there's no,
Pretty sure their roads are getting overlaid this year.
yes.
there's no curb and gutter anywhere out
Right,
there.
and that was part of the conversation with them that's been ongoing is that, do they have to bring the roads up to code before we annex them in? And I mean, that's part of that
Negotiation.
negotiations with them, and there's golf carts,
Say
and just a
yes.
few other things, but
Yeah.
overall, again, this is not a
Okay,
push
golf
to get
carts.
them to annex in, but it's to make them understand that, we're supporting your water system, your sewer system, and we're not really getting any return on that other
And
than,
the reality is that at 200%, we're probably not either. Like, we're probably, it's very hard to
Oh,
ever recoup
right.
that $800,000.
$800,000.
but if it's been
know what I mean?
150% for 8 years, it's time for an increase.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and that's why I kind of
Should-
started
should
doing
we
the
set it-
research on it.
Should we set it at, so something like every couple of years it adjusts? I mean, I don't know. We're adjusting our other rates. So they're getting
We're
adjusted.
adjusting the base rate,
They're getting adjusted when the,
right?
Right,
so that it has been adjusted. I mean,
right. When our increases go
Right.
up, their increases go up. But again, to start to at least try to recover some of that money and prepare for any kind of major repair or replacements in the next 5 to 10 years, because it'll happen. It's already 8 years old.
it will. And I don't even think at 200% we get there. So, my thought is we probably want them in the city at some point. They're on our infrastructure and we have to fund it and they're not paying tax in the city. And I'm not super for them getting all the benefits of the city and not, including even the garbage site and not being here. So.
And again, this is not a push to get them to annex in, but it's a push to say, hey,
Get their attention.
you have some very valuable infrastructure that we're supporting.
Yeah.
And that we need to make sure that we have a good reserve account or at least have something there in the event that something catastrophic, sorry, Invisalign, catastrophic happens, that we don't have to go out and bond for a project,
100%.
for people that we don't even collect property
Yeah.
taxes
I don't
on.
know if you could
Bond for it.
with the new law.
Well, you would have to take it to a referendum, if it were to be
Yeah,
voted on.
Yeah.
right.
And there's
The people cast their.
the 150 of them over there and a whole
Yeah,
bunch of people over here that say no.
So anyway,
So,
I still would like to make the recommendation that we look at raising it to 5%,
well, you're kind of recommending 200% over 2 years.
well, a year.
Over a year.
Right, but I mean, to get there.
Mhm.
75%.
But do it and this was a suggestion from the
25.
mayor to do it as 6-month increments.
25% at 6 months,
Oh.
25% at a year, so they'd be at 200 by next fiscal year.
And this wouldn't be like hidden, this would have to be a public hearing, this, everybody would be notified. And we would have to take the phone calls, as well as you.
I agree with it.
I'm not against it.
Yeah, I think we have to recoup. I get it.
I just don't know if we're gonna recoup.
You're never
Well-
gonna get.
You're never
We're not going to, but at least we.
So let me play devil's advocate here. What happens if we do this and they say, absolutely not, we're just not gonna do this to us, we're not gonna even consider annexing it.
Well, then it's all the more reason to have a better
It's all the
rate.
More reason,
all the more
more money
reason
to
to try to recoup that.
That would be my,
Then it's 300.
Yeah, I was gonna say at that point, then.
I mean,
you
it's
have to
just
look
like-
at what-
Because we really have to,
Go forward.
if you're in a homeowners association, whatever the costs are what the costs are. So when you replace a road, you divide it by the property owners and that's kind of what it is. And they generally pay that at the time that they make the repairs, or depending on if it's something big, they might be accruing over time, but they would make up the difference. The property, let's say that it was accrued for half of the expense that they were gonna repair a road. When they put in the road, everybody else has to pony up the rest of the other 50% at the time that it's done. We don't have that ability, do we, with them, with the agreement? So if we had to put in
There's nothing there.
a $200,000 fix to something and we weren't accrued for it. It's just gonna
We
come out
as
of the rest of
citizens
the.
here are paying for it.
So could,
Yeah, that's the agreement.
when we look at this in council to vote on it, can we have like some sort of a picture of what we've gathered, what we've collected from them at the 150 since it started? So we know, theoretically, what we would have
We should
accrued
have-
toward it.
We should have that for the public hearing for sure.
Because we should have those numbers when people come and start asking us questions. I've been paying you 150 for 10 years. What'd you do with that?
I think that's a big question. I'd
Yeah.
ask that question.
Yeah, I would. It's fair. It's a fair question.
We could say it's part of our fund. It should-
Yeah, it's
we
in the
haven't
water fund.
utilized it.
Yeah,
We can't point to it anywhere.
but we've continued to grow over 10 years and we've added water infrastructure and
Well, and that way we can show
Still
them
neighborhood
how
treatment.
invested to them compared to.
their neighborhood is growing.
And they're gonna be using that water out of the new water tower and well, so I mean, therefore, they should be.
And is,
Yeah.
I
And they don't pay property taxes that help us go pay off the general obligation bonds that we're building the water tower with, so.
And then, just as a scenario, if we were able to go out and bond and just remove House File 718, we do bond it. I mean, that's not a good look for us as a community to be bonding a project for citizens that are not even paying property taxes.
100%.
Yeah,
you'll
get a new council at that point. It'll just be.
I'm in favor of it, so.
Okay, we're gonna meet Monday and get the numbers put together.
Circling back though on the garbage compost portion
yes.
of it. So it's almost kind of two separate things. So everybody's going up to 16. If we just do 150 for the garbage and you're proposing just leaving it at 150, not increasing it to the 175 and 200? Or what are
I am proposing to move to the 175,
what the garbage?
July 1. Yeah, I want everything to go up July 1.
Okay.
And another increase
Okay.
for the water sewer. I think we can leave
Mhm.
the compost the same for January 1. And that'll give us a good opportunity to see how much we're collecting, how much more time and effort that you have to put into it, your guys. And see if it's-
So I'm sorry, what are you proposing on the compost side?
We're gonna increase their fee by $8.
So up to
In addition
150%
to
July
the
1.
increase?
175% July 1, and there'll be 200%.
So we won't
another
ever do the
25%.
They're getting an increase to the same
So it will be more than
amount that the
$8 as
city
well.
citizens are getting.
Whatever.
So it's going to 16
Right.
for everyone.
So,
In addition to that?
They haven't been paying anything extra on the garbage.
Correct.
But we're looking at, it's going to increase to 16 no matter what.
Correct.
At this time, do we also do the same
Yes.
over and above not being a citizen of Piasta charge for the garbage like we do with the water?
So time and a half on the garbage or whatever the increase is gonna be, and then they're allowed to use the compost site, is that
Well,
what?
that's the
Well, I think at that
consider.
point, you're definitely allowed to use compost site. What are we doing with the rest of that money?
I mean, yeah,
That other 50%.
yeah,
What
because
are we
there
doing
is,
with the garbage money?
Pardon me?
If we go to 150, where's the garbage money going?
It goes into the 670 fund, so it does go into a different revenue fund.
but it's not like the water that is for the infrastructure.
No, it's gonna hopefully help cover the labor costs and the cost to take away the extra compost.
But then we're allowing them to, then you're saying we should allow them to use the compost.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Are we
all right, just want to
allocating?
make sure we're all on.
So like, as of
Right
right,
now, we're saying no, but then if we get this added onto this added 50%, 75%,
Sewer and water.
then we're saying yes
Yes.
to Thunder Ridge people.
what about Birds Green Acres?
They don't get charged.
They don't get,
I don't even know.
we don't
They're on
have a
their
way
own,
to
they're
charge
on their own
them.
No.
setbacks and their own
And I can assure you
wells.
that it gets abused by it.
they're, yeah.
That's,
And
They have no city
And Thunder
services
Hills
at
and probably
all.
residents from Epworth and probably residents from
Thunder Hills.
As we've discussed, just no way to
They're on their own phone system. We don't patrol
Maybe we
in
could
there.
store the
We
new
don't
Tahoe
take their
over
trash,
by there.
nothing.
That would.
You want to just set me up there and that's all I
Yeah,
use is.
Kind of like when you drive through Onslow, they got the dummy car sitting.
That's gone.
That's where the extra car is gonna go.
He moved.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Burlington did that too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I guess I'm comfortable with it if they're paying the same rate on all these services, and then we should put the compost in.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to have it the same
But
rate.
they're paying the
Same
inflated rate, percentage rate, because they're not paying tax
Right.
in the city to cover Dean's wages and those other things that are going.
I think they're overages should go to support them as well, though. I don't think, like, if you're gonna do it with water, you should probably do it
Garbage.
with garbage too. Maybe it all goes into that fund
Okay.
to help for the water fund to try to build it back up. Until we
Well, the
get.
problem is though, the compost site, they're gonna have more wages because
Yeah,
they're
city
gonna,
wages
there's gonna be
and costs.
more of Robbie's time and Dean's time hauling it to the dump, hauling it wherever, so
Is there
cost
really
to
gonna be that
dispose of
much
it.
more compost? There are,
I don't know, if we advertise, they can use it.
No.
right, they're already using it.
But if we can
I
tell
believe
them
that
they
as
can
well.
use it, I don't know.
Yeah, how many of them after you tell them they can?
I mean, there's gonna be additional waste as we go because the maturity of trees, for yards that are getting maintained as, development keeps,
They
I'm
probably
sure there are
put
people
more
that
in
aren't
there.
using it now that
so it is gonna continue to
would,
grow, I
some
mean,
people will be a little more,
regardless.
but how much more?
And there are people that are calling saying, we wish we could have that right, we pay for
We pay
sewer and
150,
water,
yeah.
why can't we use the compost site? So if you wanna use it, then there has to be a
More.
fee associated with it, just as
Reality
water
is
sewer.
their properties are bigger than most of the ones in the city, so there's probably
100%.
a lot of stuff coming from there already. So it's,
My response
Put 'em in
was
and
blowing
charge
your neighbor's yard. When they ask what they're supposed to do with it, blowing your neighbor's yard.
Their problem.
It just goes right down the road till it's off of somebody's, yeah.
I do have one
Mow
question
into the street.
about that, more just to make sure we're on the same page. I already get a ton of Thunder people who pay time and a half, not time and a half, but 150 for water that believe they should be then entitled to the resident rate here. You raise it to 200, raise garbage to
Right.
200. Is it safe to say you're all still on the same pages? They are still non-residents regardless of how much they're paying for
Oh.
water, correct?
yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we're all
Maybe they should raise their rates to
'Cause I was looking at it,
75
I was
and
gonna say, I
the
would get it.
rec center.
more.
Yeah.
If we raise it.
150.
Now-
This is a city building.
Across the board.
And that's what I
And
say,
they aren't
and
in
that's
the
what I
city.
say. My
They
response
do
is,
not
who do you
pay
pay taxes to?
That's
Yeah.
right.
I understand why they wanna have,
And we subsidize the building.
Correct.
I got chewed out for it because somebody lives over almost.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna notice.
Why-
We're gonna hear about
Their
this.
mailing address
Yeah.
is Shasta, why can't I get because you don't
Yes.
live in the city?
Yeah.
That
I just
doesn't
go
make any sense.
right to
but yeah.
taxes.
Yeah.
Then they don't say anything, they can't say anything.
And so on the annex question, if over time they vote to annex, do we have a process that we go through where we could decide on the terms that we recommend to the city and thank you, okay.
Did you just do this?
I just went, okay,
Got it.
I think he's happy. He's happy with that
that's all I
answer.
needed to know.
All right, so we're good there?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Lexi was wanting to discuss the raising the rate and she is not here, so I don't want to discuss this tonight. I don't, I would, if I had a vote, I would say no.
I'm not for changing
So-
anything. I
That would
like
be my
having the food
discussion.
trucks here.
I had thought that I put this out here. I don't know why it's
What
not.
did you put out?
So I, with some of Mike's help, we tried to track as well as we could.
Yeah, you got it here, you got it here.
Okay, so it's,
There are
that's
8 of
from
them,
March
so-
8th from till last week. We
March and
only had, like,
April, 8 of them.
yeah. And I don't, unless they missed one at the industrial park, which, but I don't think that they were so concerned
that's
about
what
the
they were
industrial
worried
park. They were concerned more about the ones
They,
right
that came up,
at
did they go
Steve's or
down to the
wherever.
end of Cap Drive occasionally or often?
They go to Barry, I see
Yeah,
them at
every
Barry,
once in a while.
I see them at Barry Plastics.
Yeah,
and they like
first gear in
that quite often.
area.
And then those employers,
Yeah, they just walk across the street and they'll kind of go.
But those are the ones that we were able to kind of keep track of in the last 2 months, and there's not a lot.
it's not a lot, 4 a month, 1 a week.
I think Steve's Ace has one every Friday.
It's mostly
Yeah.
Steve's, and then that Dinger's Delights was sitting at the church, but
I think if you take a look at what everybody else does, keeping up with the Joneses again, we're.
They don't do anything.
I could see him being concerned if it was more evening, that's where most of these restaurants are doing their business, but it's over lunch.
They think they're losing lunch
But a
revenue.
lot of the people have half-hour lunch breaks, so that are working in Piasta, so I don't know that it overlaps as much. Round 2 maybe, because you can eat the buffet, you can get in and out of there, but,
They're closed on Mondays now, so.
so there you go.
and Red Roof isn't open at night, like during the week, I don't
Right.
think, right?
But they are
make their
doing
money
some
on breakfast.
remodeling and they are expanding their evening hours.
Oh,
And I'm not a paid sponsor.
You're just reporting. Well,
That's an estimated about 3 weeks, is that what they were saying?
I'm sorry.
About 3 weeks on the remodel?
Mhm.
So do we wanna bring this back next month so we can discuss with them?
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that, so we can put a pin in it and finalize it later.
Looks
So
like
bring
you
it
wanna
back.
do it before,
No, we're not
August
bringing
one.
it back.
That's
It's
what
gonna
he
be
just
busy
said.
in the summer.
So they're gonna discuss it with Lance.
Activity on
it looks like you probably wanna do it before August. That's when like
That's when
half
that's
of them
when
are
it's
expired,
Oh,
would be my
Yeah.
suggestion.
So you want us to
If we
bring it
need
back?
another work session with Lexi, then we'll
June,
just
so
next
she's here
week.
to-
Do it in June.
just do it in
As soon as we
June.
can.
I'll move it right now.
Yeah, just put it in June and we'll. Review of goals, goal setting report.
Let's take our list and throw it in the garbage.
I think we're doing pretty good. Again, this is just the third review, based off of our goal setting that we did last July. I think the consensus from the second review is that we were happy with where we're at. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think, you go with the initiatives and programs, trail and sidewalk system.
Yeah.
Working on that, housing, traffic, compensation studies. I think the compensation study, I think we're probably
Not doing.
gonna do that at this point. Development plan for parks and trails, I think is on track here. Complete asset rotation list, which is done, continue to work on future annexation.
Comprehensive
Just-
plans, the
Just
piece.
talk that, review of the comprehensive
We
plan.
need.
I think all of those items I feel very good about. Obviously, we all know Cap Drive reconstruction, where that's at. Just don't have the ability for a project of that nature right now. Sidewalk to get kids to school safely and from school from every subdivision, so we are adding one over on Cox Springs, so I think that was the main place that we really wanted to get taken care of, so we'll identify other places down the road. Frontage road from Y-21 to Cottingham Road.
We haven't talked about that.
Right now, there really isn't much.
Right, there's really nothing to discuss
Yeah.
about that until we get a bird in the hand with the developer, so.
How's the conversation been going with NICC?
They are having a quarterly meeting coming up, but Steve and I will both be on vacation, so we asked them to move it a little bit down the road a little bit, sorry about the pun, but since there's really no big push for that, I know that they're on board 100%. It's just they've got questions that they want answered, engineering questions and city questions, and we can answer all of those in due time.
Are we agreed that, Adrena's gonna come online, so then it's really the extension of Adrena across NICC would be the next segment that we would prioritize.
It's the
For
next
people in-
natural move, yeah.
Are people in general agreement to that? We can't really go the other way, but
Have we ever
it's a
done
big project.
a study of the residents on their wants and needs of that road system?
I don't believe there's ever been one done, but I mean, that is something that we can
Because
do.
with these new laws and these bonds that we're gonna have to do, it might change our outlook on everything.
And the
Well, I just know
legislation
that
could
we
change
need
in 2
another
years.
east to west.
Yes, we definitely need it, but
And to me, that's the most natural.
what's the city gonna pay for? You almost gotta go that route at some point. What are the residents actually going to
I think, quite honestly, I think the residents would be in full support of that.
Yeah, when we had the hearings,
So that's the, yeah,
on the developer stuff, what's going on Adrena and stuff, we had a lot of citizens that were concerned about the low traffic on birds.
Yeah.
Remember?
yeah.
And so this is, to me,
to alleviate
that's why to me, that priority.
And I think at the
We
time.
have to alleviate some of that. Adrena will do some of that, and if it could go all the way to Enterprise Drive, it'll do another chunk.
Has there been additional thought on green space? I mean, I think that's the biggest feedback you'll get from young parents
On
is
what to-
losing greens, because you're talking NICC to take practice fields, correct? I think that's the biggest. I had a mom in my office last week talking about how we don't have any
No.
already and mad at what we have now. So if we take away that, it's just gonna amplify it. What?
Yeah, the road to go
The
through.
practice
At least
fields,
one of
it's
those
the
practice
only
fields.
place we have to play,
Yeah.
play somewhat of soccer, and it's not the best. But yeah, so I mean, that's my 2 cents, I'm always gonna plug parks, but that's what I've heard
Well, how does
from
the
young parents.
development plan for parks and trails kind of coincide with this road discussion? You don't, we have an older plan for Parks and Trails,
We've
but the
talked
Parks
about-
Committee hasn't really pulled it open to look at the whole thing and talk about if it should be reprioritized or what we've got. We've been
No,
talking about
yeah.
Kelly Oaks. That's
Yeah,
what we've been
it's-
working on. so.
correct.
Well,
I would like to see, and this is long range, I would like to see us, again, I know money wasn't an object, but actually in these developments that aren't developed yet, purchase, or we purchase 2 or 3 lots in a row to put a park in.
I think you make the developer.
Or
Make the-
put the
some,
park
I
in.
mean, have some sort of
Have
agreement.
Make it in.
it's in their plan. They're required to have X amount of acres of green
And,
space.
and you can do that in the development agreement
Yeah.
very easily.
I think we should start considering
I
that.
agree.
I mean,
I
just,
just at a minimum pocket parks, but
Right.
she's talking a bigger flat area for larger
Right.
sports and those
Right.
kinds of things. And,
Mhm.
you know, we have to plan for that. It probably has to be north of the railroad tracks because we don't have, where are we gonna get the property to
Agreed,
do
yeah.
that?
Well, there was property, and that was their big goal, was they wanted a soccer complex
Yep.
there.
Soccer.
I mean, there was the Bird property over there. That's what they wanted instead of Water's Edge was a
Who's
soccer complex.
they?
The Bird's family.
Oh,
That's what they kept coming back to was, well, there's no,
I didn't know
no
that
place
that's what they
to play
kept coming
soccer,
back
no
to,
place
but I
to.
agree.
that's what it started, that's what it started off with.
Okay. Yeah, there's nowhere. I mean, you have kids playing
It's a
flag
nice big
football
chunk of
in little
property
islands
to
in
do
front of the
something
school,
with.
because there's
Price they were.
anything.
I agree, yeah.
There's not a lot of kids in the community that play a lot of sports.
Mhm.
That's just gonna keep growing and growing.
All right, I need to add on, I just.
No, it's, I mean, it's stuff we
properties
gotta keep on our forefront.
south of the highway that we could do something with from a recreation standpoint. We have to acquire it, right? So everything we have to do. we
Yeah,
have
the
to-
3 acres that we're acquiring, everything's gonna be taken there.
Yeah, we,
And all of that growth is industrial driven, and I don't really see that as being a recreational.
You don't want
Actually,
kids
there's a
running
lot
around
of, but
there.
there's a lot of places that I've went,
Yeah.
middle of industrial or off the edge of an industrial.
Ohio Office Soccer
100%.
complexes out in the middle.
Yep.
I mean, that was.
I mean, it's,
Been quite a few.
It first started.
I need to get out more often.
you put a fence around it.
Industrial
and- These are the only options we have, like south of town or north of town. And if we're gonna plan for something bigger, we gotta start really thinking, where would we want it to be? And then how would we go about getting the property to do it? It's really
Have to
expensive
bond.
in town here. What's that?
You'd have to bond for it, and
Right.
there again,
Right,
it goes to a vote.
yeah. Well, I think they'll probably vote for parks.
I think
It's,
John,
we need to vote for a road.
It's
I mean,
when it comes back to you, I think the people would like it, I don't know about that, so.
I know, I think you're more likely to vote for.
parks and trails, I think we would probably get votes for that.
The amenity that is,
Yeah.
if it has those items in it.
Well, especially with how many young families are here, like you were saying.
So we need to wrap the recreational into another project that we need bonded. And then,
Potentially,
right, and then that way we get,
But those kind of go hand in hand. I mean, that street and green space go,
very true.
okay, I'm removing, but I'm replacing.
yeah, right. So, yeah,
Yeah,
you
this is
package
going
them
away
together
with this
and
out, we're gonna-
with one, you can't have the other.
Can we buy the gas field?
Sorry.
No, I just, it's, my mind's going mile a minute right now.
Well, let me add to that.
Is that the-
I can't hear you, Justin.
No, they use that gas field,
NICC.
their testing facility. Once a year.
I always see disturbed dirt, but I don't know what that, I don't know.
That's how they teach their classes. They go out there and they dig up the dirt.
It's underneath.
Right.
Yeah,
So it'll never be undisturbed at any
They need
point.
to use it.
Yeah, that pile likes to move.
Be a perfect place for soccer.
Okay. The comprehensive plan, we're probably going to budget for that next year. That's about a $30,000 cost because it involves public hearings, town hall meetings, a lot of work from ECIA. So there's just, it's not just as easy as taking it back to planning and zoning and having them look it over.
We need it.
It's anyway, it's a project that's 6 months to a year.
How old is the one we're discussing now?
When we first started the planning and zoning,
For me,
2000, is the oldest one 2005?
I was moved 3, 6, 7, I think, was the original, and then it's been revised, I think,
The
twice.
2019? That would probably be the one that RDG looked at.
I know.
Yeah, so typically 3 to 5 years is when you want to review it. This one probably needs an overhaul considering how much we've grown what we see the potential for the next.
We're different.
You'll find everything that happens everywhere else needs to be done differently.
But anyway, just food for thought that that's gonna be budgeted, so, yeah.
Will the comprehensive plan include and incorporate like our development of parks and trails?
Oh,
plan, or
absolutely.
is that a separate thing?
Yep. It'll look at future land usage and what we
Okay.
see as, or what the public, even from the town hall meetings and the feedback that we get.
Good. Yeah.
That's all I have.
No, I never think this one is. No false. False assumptions about what this meeting is gonna be or last. That's why we have it. That's why they're good.
This is better than a 2-hour council meeting.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anything else anyone wants to talk about on the goal setting? I mean, we finished Kelly Oaks Park. We're on track on that. You look at future planning suggestions that the city and management team prepare action plan for capital projects and initiatives. I think we do that on an ongoing basis. It's kind of tough on a project that's gonna cost $7 million to have an action plan. To say, how are we gonna get that? Well, the easy answer is we're gonna bond for it. It's the hard answer because that probably won't be approved.
Well, there's some other things that we're looking at, assessments and whatnot. So as soon as I get that, I'll relay it to everyone. And I'll bring this back in August for a final viewing.
So our housing study will be a housing study, but it won't be a traffic study.
Correct. We're having a separate traffic study done.
Okay.
And PEDC is paying for the housing study.
Yep. Good.
I'm supposed to have a meeting with Steve Thompson tomorrow to kind of go through some of these projects, and he's very busy, and Dean can attest to this too. So we'll see if I get that opportunity to speak with him in the morning to get these updates on projects, and one of them being not only the traffic study, but the GIS, the water mapping and sewer mapping, storm and that like, so. Stay tuned.
Last item on the agenda is the council committees, where the council has been basically since January, February 2022. And just, I think the initial was to have everyone kind of move around and have an opportunity to do all. So right now, I mean, we'll look at, I don't have it, in mind on where everyone's gonna go, but changing things up here, probably, just by July, maybe keep it with the fiscal year, might be the way to do it. As you look at this list, streets, water, sewer, sidewalks, and parks and trails, we've kind of
We
already merged, so that'll adjust that. Public safety, I think, has had one meeting since I've been here. HR committee has met several times. Economic development, finance, I don't think, John, the lone man there.
Go, where'd you go?
Well,
No, you run that committee?
We put John and all his friends on that committee, so.
I'm sure I did at one point.
But again, so there are some committees obviously don't meet very often. So, I think the parks and streets and sidewalks meet on a very regular basis. HR, there has been a lot in the last couple of years with HR, so those are the two big ones that really kind of generate more meetings, as a demand this time. So we'll take a look at that and I think make some changes then. Just again, start them, I think July 1st just makes sense to go with the fiscal year. There's nothing magic about it, but there's nothing magic that we haven't done it back in January this year. So.
Just a clarification, so we rolled sidewalks into parks and trails, but did we roll street, water and sewer? Those seem like
No,
was that all part of that?
sidewalks and trails.
Yeah, so I think we
Sewer
put
have not
sidewalk in with parks and trails, but we would probably still need a street, water, sewer conversation if we're.
Yeah, that would have been a non-existent committee basically. We sidewalks straight away and we pretty much didn't do anything with the rest of it.
You just stayed right on the sidewalk.
Yes. That's a true.
We were having issues at the time, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were.
Well, the biggest one was
Street
not having
plan.
sidewalks in new subdivisions, and now we've taken care of that. So that's a big, big move in the right way.
So.
Anyone else have anything else they'd like to bring up tonight?
I can give just I sat in on part of PEDC's meeting, if you want, the part that I was in there for about a half hour. They met on Thursday, May 2nd. I know you said we weren't gonna give a city update, but they asked me to give a city update. The three things I gave them was that we were close to closing on the property to be able to do the well project. That we had annexed the additional ground into the city, showed them our updated zoning map, or our updated map, zoning map, I guess it was. And then asked them to help promote the ECIA transportation safety study.
Oh, sure, perfect.
So those are the things I gave them. They have two new members, Leanne Snyder and Scott Mayo. They were both at the meeting and they were introduced. And then the next item of business was talking about their conversations with Jason and Amanda at Community Foundation with Heart and Soul and the Small Town Dreams Initiative. And I only got to hear part of that, but Kathy Keneally was presenting back to the committee. She'd had at least one extensive phone conversation and then some in-person meetings with somebody else on the committee was there. They were trying to understand it. That they were talking about as a group. They're very much for it. And they said, we've got to get, organized to figure out like how we get the conversation to advance. They were educating each other and the committee on kind of what it was, what the program was. And everybody seemed to be positive about this is a good thing for the community because we're generating an endowment that we don't already have and it's separate from the city proper. So that was the piece that I heard. Since then, Megan has sent out an invitation for something on June 11th.
We don't know what it
And a
is.
couple of us are on it. Everybody's not on it. It's some sort of an event at 4:30 PM to 6:30 PM at round 2 on June 11th, which is a Tuesday, which is a council meeting night. And it looks like it reads open public invite to talk about small town dreams. So maybe they're positioning to have a forum where they can tell people we want to get people together and talk about it. But I can't tell. It might just be PEDC and a few other people they're inviting. So I sent her a message back to ask her
Okay.
if she could tell us what it was about, and I haven't heard back, so.
Did the two new members give any background or?
They did. They did. They might have done that with themselves in the committee and email, but Scott works at John Deere. I don't know what he does.
Okay.
And that Leanne Snyder was here when we
Right.
met with PEDC, and she works out of her home for a different business that's not located in Piasta, and it's been in Piasta a long time.
Is she in Thunder Ridge, Thunder Hills, or is she?
I don't know. I don't know where she lives. She was here when we met with PEDC.
Right, yeah, I just think it's important to have somebody that is at least close to what's happening here rather than be in Dyersville or in Cascade.
I don't think, she was from the Piasta area. She's
Okay.
not from Piasta proper. And Scott Mayo, I know that their property's in Piasta, city of Piasta. So that's all I got.
Thank you. I never even got the link for their meeting.
Discussion about moving work sessions to Wednesday instead of Thursday for maybe the rest of the summer. Just there's the summer
We want
months
golf or
present, no. There are other opportunities with the nice weather that I think everyone would like to partake of in the city. That's my request.
I think we can schedule, looks like I'm gonna post it.
Camaraderie.
You want to start at when, Mr.
June,
For June and July and August?
June, July, August, and if it seems like okay, and
Maybe
it
it's
says into September.
Just the work session.
Just the work session, the Wednesday instead
It
of
moved
Thursday.
back one day.
Correct.
That might actually work.
Oh.
Probably be able to make that work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, I think the discussion's done, I think everyone is, we're not moving it yet.
Okay, so in July, the work session is the 4th of July, and I think I may have,
You said the second.
Let's not do
yeah, so
that.
okay, I thought it.
I'm out.
It's not gonna be on the third
I'm out the
either.
third too.
No, so
No,
July
talk about when
2nd.
it's the second.
It's the first Tuesday of the month.
Just Tuesday.
Yeah, you had tentatively held the second.
Okay,
Okay.
That's what I mean, I can't do it, it's a second.
You can't do a council meeting by
I didn't
Zoom,
get the memo.
So then we're really just talking about
Sorry.
one date in August and one in June.
Well,
but not if you're on vacation.
you're not supposed to, but
Get rid of that.
I would rather if you felt not comfortable doing it on vacation.
So are we adjourning? Are we adjourned?
I get it.
I was like,
Well, work session should be board meetings.
Correct, so.
good, not that I'm.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.